Get the reaction tonight of the General Industries Workers Union of South Africa on the latest out of Eskom, André de Ruyter, and the President's comments today. Mametlwe Sebei is Giwusa's President. With us tonight, a very good evening to you. So grateful for your time. So the President, alarmed by what he's learned in the last few weeks, wasn't aware of some of these issues and says they should in fact be supported by evidence which should be taken by people like André de Ruyter to the country's law enforcement agencies. Is that enough of a response from the head of state, given the magnitude of what's alleged here?
Absolutely not. I mean, you have to be either extremely naive or deliberately dishonest not to realize that ANC, for some time now, has actually been operating itself as an organized criminal cartel, engaged, in extortion, racketeering, leveraging its monopoly of state power in order that it can enrich itself as an organization that was involved in tenders at Medupi, at Kusile, to enrich, some of their supporters, both in the ANC, but also people connected to them through outsourcing in the public services. So the story really of Eskom should not come as a surprise. And I think the President is being deliberately dishonest. And that is because he knows very well that the rod in the ANC goes from the top to the bottom. That is the most lowest structures at municipalities, and everybody knows this.
Well, the ANC has said now, even in its initial response, that it's giving André de Ruyter about 7 days to basically give the names of people he says were involved in corruption at Eskom, and the minister which he spoke to, confirmed by Pravin Gordhan himself yesterday in an interview with us on Newzroom Afrika, that he did have a conversation with de Ruyter. Do you think anything will actually come of that threat from the ANC, that if he does not give names, it will institute its own legal proceedings, basically sue?
I mean, I don't know what difference would that make. Ourselves, through our federation SABTU, we have actually said, we've given the radar until Friday to actually come forward with those names, or otherwise to lay a charge, because by his silence in knowledge of corruption and crime actually against the people of this country, he is becoming complicit. But we are saying that the ANC is aware of all these criminal elements, some of them, including the top leaders at the top echelons of the ANC, have been named not only in various investigations, including by a commission set up by this government, the Zondo Commission. I mean, the chairperson of the ANC, who is also the Minister of Energy, right, Kwadamantashe, was named in that commission, right? And the idea that we are going to learn anything that the ANC does not know, and for them to act surprised, is completely dishonest. If they are not aware of this corruption, what is this whole talk about renewal about? It is about acknowledging that the ANC is rotten to the core, that the ANC is using a state power to manipulate tenders, to enrich itself, to enrich its members and its supporters. And I can't see how Eskom could have been any other way other than to be a milk cow for all these criminal gangsters in and out of the ANC that are involved in the corruption and looting of Eskom and other state-owned entities that have collapsed public services. And we are paying the price of that with these blackouts, but also with water outages and collapse of each and every area of public services, health, education, everything included.
So Pravin Gordhan, in speaking to Newzroom Afrika yesterday, said that he could not go forward to police or act on the what he said was André de Ruyter alluding to the involvement of certain individuals from the ANC in corruption at Eskom, because he did not have the evidence to back that up. When you go back to the State Capture Commission of Inquiry, President Cyril Ramphosa was criticized even in the Commission's report, because when he was asked about what he did, his response to state capture under the Jacob Zuma administration, where he served as deputy president, he gave an answer to the effect that he basically wanted to fight it from within, so basically meaning that he did not go public with the information. And the report said there was surely enough credible information in the public domain to at least prompt him to inquire and perhaps act on a number of serious allegations. That mirrors, does it not, what is now being alleged by de Ruyter, that he flagged an issue about corruption and a senior ANC member did not act.
But these are people who are commanding a colossal infrastructure of state security, right? From the SAPS, from intelligence services that ought to tell them what is actually happening, particularly in an institution so critical as Eskom that is responsible for powering homes and economy and therefore responsible or rather, central to the stability of their own regime. Otherwise, what's the point of them, making us to pay all these taxes? For what end? The reality is they are aware about all these criminal elements. The reality is you cannot, reach a level of office in the ANC as Cyril Ramphosa has without a support from some of these elements, because there is no level at which the ANC is not corrupt. Mm-hmm. The reality is ANC, as I've said, it has become a criminal cartel itself. Its whole organogram is organized about, patronage and all these networks of corruption, of crime, and it's about exchange of mutual favors and protections. So the reality is, I don't think that Ramaphosa and the ANC are going to do anything about it, as much as they've not done anything about all that has been confirmed by the Zondo Commission and many other investigations. What is only going to happen is that we are going to continue with, the dodging, the ducking and diving, but what we need is for the working class of people in this country to rise and to hold this government accountable, because every single day that the ANC remain in power is a crime in progress against the people of this country.
And briefly, Mametlwe, just briefly, so the ANC in its response said last week already that it's not corrupt as an organization, but has corrupt individuals within. Final question, do the events of the last week or so basically make André de Ruyter a South African hero?
Well, André de Ruyter is anti-working class. You just have to listen even the language that is using, against communism and, public ownership, not to mention the fact that he himself, even by the time that he came, he was already, tainted by allegations of racism and so on. His anti-working class policy inside Eskom itself, including the manner in which he's closing some of these, stations that does not speak to the issues of just transition, which we have always said must not leave any worker behind. Instead, we are seeing the structuring that in due course are going to result in job losses, in due course are going to result in devastation of communities that are dependent on mining, that are dependent on Eskom, and of course, over and above the fact that he has facilitated a privatizing program that is going to be a disaster for people in this country. And we just need to improve what is happening in Europe. People think we have a problem, and we do, and these are very serious and worsening crises. But the reality is, under a private ownership of power generation, is going to be unmitigated disaster for the working class.
Mametlwe Sebei from Giwusa, president of Giwusa, in fact. Good to speak to you tonight, sir. Thank you for your time.